Yo, America, planet Earth, what's good? This is your boy Codell, and welcome back to another episode of the Father's Gospel Podcast. And this is,
The original KRS-One.
oh yeah, I love it. Hey, shout out to KRS-One. He blessed me with this super dope hoodie. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. So I figured I'd rock it with the Santa Claus hat on and yeah, just keep it moving. But anyways, we got a good one today, guys. We're going to be sharing a New York Post article talking about this case, this Duke lacrosse case that happened back in 2006. Long story short, this lady falsely accused these four gentlemen of raping her, and now she's admitting that she lied about the whole thing. And so it's crazy, man, and everyone should be pissed when they hear this story. But let's get into it, you guys. So here we go. So this is from the New York Post. Former stripper, convicted killer. So she's also a convicted killer. Crystal Magnum finally confesses to lying about being raped by Duke lacrosse players back in 2006. Now, I know I remember this case. You remember this case?
I do very well.
Yeah, I mean, it was all over ESPN and every major media outlet at that time. So,
This is a current article too, December 13th, 2024.
yeah, this is a major update. Do you want to read the article, brother?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's probably.
I mean, I'll go through and read through it a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit just so the people have some info. So here's what it says, you guys. Former stripper and convicted murderer Crystal Magnum admitted Thursday that she lied and made up a story that three Duke University lacrosse players raped her at a team party in 2006. This is what she goes on to say. They trusted me that I wouldn't betray their trust, and I testified falsely against them by saying that they raped me, and when they didn't, and that was wrong, she says. Magnum told the independent media outlet, "Let's talk with Kat at the North Carolina Correctional Institution for Women." Anyways, let's just listen to her talk, because like she talks about her confession right here. This is her, and it's really crazy. So here we go. Let's see, make sure sound's on. Okay, yeah.
They were my brothers and they trusted me that I wouldn't betray their trust. And I testified falsely against them by saying that they raped me when they didn't. And that was wrong.
So what's your thoughts, brother?
Well, I mean, first of all, is like it kind of reminds me of. So I had this back and forth banter with this woman. What the heck was her name? I don't know. She's not. She's no concern. I no longer mind it. But anyway, what she was talking about is she was saying something about how women, how come women aren't believed when there's assault charges or rape charges? Well, this is exactly why.
Right.
And I had a personal experience too where, I was kind of telling us on yesterday's podcast that, this woman falsely, you know, claimed rape against a guy and she found out and she was like, obviously blackballed from the wildland firefighting community. But I mean, this is exactly why,
Yeah.
you know, uh, women like this that they lie and they manipulate, they lie and manipulate to each other and to everybody outside of there. Is that to say that rape doesn't go on against women? No, absolutely not.
Of course it does.
It does.
Yeah.
But you have this stuff and you're destroying, the ripple effect is you're destroying all these people's lives because, again, they're embarrassed about something or they didn't want to sleep with that guy or they're catching hell from other women saying, "Why'd you do that?" And
Right.
well,
Well,
so then they make up this crap. And so they at the same time, and then she has enough nerve to sit there and ask for forgiveness.
I know it's crazy, but well, and what's crazy about whoever this woman is that made that comment to you is, I mean, you know this, they always come with that comment, but that is totally false. Women are believed
Mhm.
pretty much right off the
Yeah.
bat, you know, and it's gotten worse ever since the Me Too movement almost 10 years ago or whatever it was back in 2018, 19, whenever that emerged. And yeah, so I mean, whatever that girl was saying about why aren't women believed, that's bull, dude. I mean, yeah, there is a portion of us that, you know, it's not that we don't believe, but we're smart enough to be like, well, we need to step back, actually have a chance to assess the evidence and information before we say who is guilty and who is not guilty, which is obviously the correct way to go about it, anyways.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's motives behind their lying, lying and manipulation. But again, a lot of it is for that fame and
Right.
that fortune that they can get from that. You know what I mean? Hell, if I was a billionaire, I'm sure out of all the women that I screwed, that somebody'd come back and say, "Oh, well, he did this or he did that." Just making up random crap. That doesn't even has no bearing on today or who I was, who I am today, or any of that shit. It's just made up fictitious
Well, it's
stuff.
funny what you're just saying about the millionaire billionaire thing because, like, I don't know if you've ever seen photos, but like, you know, Keanu Reeves, obviously,
Yeah.
right? Well, there's a bunch of photos. If you watch his photos where he takes photos with fans, specifically female fans, he purposely never puts his hands on any of the women that he's posing with. Like, even when he wraps his arm, if you look at the pictures, you'll see that his hand or his arm is actually never touching the woman.
Mhm.
It's kind of around, but it's not actually physically
Yeah.
touching. And he makes sure you can see in the picture that the hand is not placed against. And it's like, well, there's a reason he's doing that,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, well, because you have these women that are do that, and then women are just like, oh well, that's not all women. They always have some bullshit excuse.
Right.
It's not all women, or it happens to all women. Those are the two excuses, and
Right.
so the double standards, they don't see that. And again, it comes to policing your own, and it comes to stopping the insanity of pandering, pampering, and catering to women.
Well, and you know, with the whole policing your own thing, this is something that men, you know, we've been doing for a long freaking time,
Mhm.
you know, that has been driven into us. Like, you need to police your own. And really, this is a message that women need to start getting in their head. Like, it is time
Well,
to police your own.
yeah, and then they come back and they're like, "Oh, well, you were raised by a woman." Yeah, but that my mother that raised me, she told me things that she absolutely hates. She's like, I never. She's like, she had to get to where she got in her life because she was always fighting women because she
Right.
was always. She's like, they always bring me down.
Well, and
And
that's what I love about your mom, dude. Like, so the difference I've noticed, like with your mom, you know, who had to raise you guys by
mhm,
yourself versus like a lot of other single moms,
mhm,
like your mom is still she's very kind, she's
mhm.
still very feminine, and she
Mhm.
sees through like she's
She
not this
sees,
angry woman, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, but she sees through the bullshit. But I mean,
Right.
she was hell on wheels. Dot the i's, cross the t's stuff, and she was a woman, a mother that never withheld me from my father. Even though my father was a druggie and a drunk, a lot of coke and stuff like that, she never withheld me from him. So I always had the opportunity to see him and him see me. But he chose not to do it, so I just moved on after 12 years old. But the thing about it is that women will say something again too. They'll say, "Oh well, you have daughters, yeah, but I'm not gonna raise them up like how you are, the regular standard woman here, American woman is.
Right, right,
Obviously they're gonna have biological differences, and I'll tell them that. But you know what? I'm going to arm them with that stuff, self defense, how to cook for themselves,
right.
all these things, and being a good person is like, you're not going to be here. I'm not put here just for a woman or a woman for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, it's like, I'm not going to do that. They're, oh, well, once you say that and you say the facts, then they come up. They're always going to try to one up you.
Well, and this is probably going to piss some people off when they hear this, but like, I don't have any daughters, right? But
Okay.
I wouldn't mind having a daughter one day. You know, I would like to have more kids. And if God ends up blessing me with a daughter, I'm going to teach my daughter that one to make sure she has feminine traits. I want her to be
Yeah.
feminine. And two, honestly, I don't care how this sounds. I'm going to also teach her the importance of submitting to a man that is actually a good
A
man, you
worthy
know?
man.
a worthy man. Exactly. You know, like,
Yeah, you know, men and women should complement each other, you know, for different assets and different facets of the relationship and stuff. But that doesn't happen. You know, you give women are never going to be satisfied with the stuff. They're always going to want more, 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 more,
right,
and they're not realizing, you know. And this is just for human beings in general. Be happy with what you got and strive to get more,
right.
but not at the cost of people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Right.
that's just straight up manipulating people, you know, if you do it.
Well, and like, let's again back to like if I had a daughter, like if I'm raising her to, be submissive, I don't have to worry about her choosing the wrong man, because if I'm setting the right example for
Mhm.
her, she's going to naturally know what type of qualities she needs
Yeah.
to look for in a man.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's the thing. Is like raising that. Generally, they if you're role modeling that to them, they know and they understand because they live with you and things like that. And let's face it, being a single father, raising children like that, you're gonna have a better opportunity. It's the same as if they're both married and both parents are there in the home and you have a loving home like that,
Right, right.
versus a single mother who's just like crazy and all over the place and I got to do this and it's all selfish, motivations for it. That's why the saying's true. Is like a woman will sacrifice her family for her happiness.
Yep,
A
yep.
man will sacrifice his happiness for his family.
Well, it's like, I mean, and I'm not trying to hate on my Kim, but it's like me growing up. Like, okay, I love my mom, but growing up, constantly being told, my mom would not just tell me, but all my sisters constantly tell us we were all accidents. She
Mhm.
never wanted to have kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you even tell your children
Yeah, and
that?
then reinforce that every single day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just the same thing. It's like Stockholm syndrome. So all these children that are in single mothers, not by choice for their choice, and not by the father's choice, but because the courts and the systems, force those children to be with their captors.
Right, right.
And so these kids know how to manipulate the mother because they're just like, okay, I don't want to piss her off, I don't want to do this is my safe. And that's what bothers me about that. Children and elderly, when people take advantage of them,
Yeah.
man, they're just right up there with chimos.
I'm with you, bro. Like the two most susceptible groups of people to being abused,
Mhm.
the kids and
Yeah,
the elderly,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and then like on the flip side, like what I was saying, like with, having a daughter and then the way my mom did things, it's like how I was saying earlier about, I have to set the example for my daughter so she knows what traits to look in, so she knows what type of man to submit to. Well, for me, from like a self-analysis point, so I didn't realize this till like 5 years ago, but I was like, why? I started doing some deep diving into myself, and I was like, why do I keep ending up with these crazy women? Like,
Yeah.
why am I choosing these crazy women? And then it hit me. I was like, holy crap, like I'm dating my mom, not literally dating my mom, but this is the example that I had growing up,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I end up time and time again in these relationships with these super aggressive, women that have more male tendencies than female tendencies. And I just, dude, it's like, whoa, I got to do all this rewiring. And then, but when I realized that, man, it was like a game changer.
Yeah,
And
when you wake up and you get out of that proverbial matrix, the same thing. Like you again, it's self-worth. What's your self-worth as a man? And so
right,
when you start breaking free from that, and then all that education, re-education, and indoctrination and garbage that they spit at you from a boy
right,
up to a man. I mean, that's a lot to overcome. By
right,
the time you get to that point, and it takes like what's happening to us in the custody situations, and then you're like, you're pissed,
right. Yeah,
like F women and F this and F that. No, again, it's not that we don't love women. We just don't like those abusive females and mothers.
right,
And so you have that. And thinking about it, even too, like some of the statistics, like boys up to the age of 12 are by both sexes molested and raped
right,
up to the age of 12. Then after that, it's 12 to, you know, 18 for girls.
right,
You know what I
right.
mean? because I was molested, and I don't have a problem sharing that. And it was because of my female cousins
Yeah.
and my babysitters.
Well,
Women did that to me, not men,
right.
not my friends, not any of that, but it was women that did that to me.
Well, you know what the
And
crazy
that's not talked about it because you know what they do? They rationalize and justify that because they say, oh, well, it's a rite of passage. Bullshit.
Right. Well, you know what the crazy thing is about like the whole molestation thing? Do you know that little boys are actually slightly targeted at a higher rate for being molested versus little girls?
Mhm.
Because a lot of these chomos,
And it's both by it's
male
both by
and
female.
females, are molesting the little boys.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, and I'm
50-50.
not saying it doesn't happen to the little girls, but it happens actually at a slightly higher rate to
Yeah.
little boys than it does to little
Yeah.
girls. And society just does not want to talk about
And
it.
the reason why is because once they get up and they start physically changing on these boys and they can fight back, then they realize, oh, okay, that they can't, you can't take advantage of these,
Right.
these boys.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just really sad all the shit that gets ignored that's being done to just like men and boys.
Mhm.
Like, but
Yeah.
that's why people like us are out here.
That's why we're treated as disposable.
Mhm.
Break glass in case of emergency.
Right.
There's a lot of people walking around here on this earth because of past military members.
Yeah.
They can get up there and wave their, LGBTQ premium flags. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of veterans that served in the past and because of veterans of, like me presently,
Yeah.
in the future, because, hey, some of them, God bless them, they actually died for serving their country,
Yeah.
upholding and defending the Constitution.
Right.
And these people get to go around and do it. I mean, how crazy is that it's if you burn an American flag, it's freedom of speech, but you burn LGBTQ premium flag and it's hate speech.
Well, that's like I don't
the
know.
hell?
I don't know if you remember, but it was like, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago, here in Spokane, there's that crosswalk, and I still think it's actually painted up with the LGBTQ flag.
Mhm.
And like a lot of Spokane people were kept screwing with it and like painting over it and doing all this sorts. They actually arrested a couple people for painting over that and trying to, yeah.
No, I didn't ever hear about that.
Yeah, and to me, it's just like it's kind of really weird for me being in Spokane because I'm not saying there's to a certain extent, yeah, we have a very small scene of these woke LGBTQ people out here, but for most part, it's not really the Spokane vibe, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing. It's like these, like I said, I it's very easy to put women in these groups like that in the same thing because they have the same agenda and trying to go forward, and as these woke people and saying, well, you can do this, you can't do this, but I can do this to you.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm
Well-
sorry. There was for instance, there's, the violence, we're talking about this, some of this, what they would consider misogyny or toxic masculinity. So there, I was in Winco here in Spokane, and Spokane's very conservative. I just, I'm here because of the VA hospital and things like that.
Right.
It is a good place,
Yeah.
but it's not my ideal place I would be.
Yeah.
My kids have more opportunities here, but long story short, anyway, so I'm going through Winco, and this woman is a woman and her husband and her child are sitting in the cash or card only thing.
Okay.
One side's cash and card, and the other one's just cash only. So looking there, I said, hey, are you ready? Are you gonna go? There's one open here, and so like I'm working there at Winco or something.
Yeah.
And they weren't. So I asked the husband, I was like, are you ready to go? He's like, no, go ahead and go. So I go up there. Well, this woman comes back, doesn't have any idea, comes up to me, and she's like, you're an asshole. I was like, what are you talking about? All these people are behind you and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I asked all the people in front of me, you don't know what you're talking about. And I said, what'd you call me again? She's like, you're an asshole. I go, shut the hell up, bitch.
Yeah.
And, she's like, oh my God, you can't say, I was like, well, you're not going to come up to me and say crap. And then
She just
walk
called you
off.
an asshole.
Yeah. And, for nothing.
Right.
And then she says it again, you're a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And then her husband finally walked up, and I was like, you better control that bitch.
Yeah.
And he just stopped and looked at me, and are you going to let him get away with that? And I was like, what's he going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all know when we get home and
Yeah.
yeah, she tried beating him.
Yeah, she's probably beating him, for that. Like, so he's in trouble. But I mean, that's a mentality that these women have. Like, they can just go up and say whatever they want,
Right.
and there's no repercussions for it
Well,
until you start waking up as a man and you start saying, "Wait a minute here, this is fucked up." And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you hate women, or that I think, what is their new term, incels or something like that. You hate all women. No, it's not that.
Right.
It's just like, I don't like that behavior, and I don't like those actions from those women, and they should know their place.
Yeah, we're not willing to make bad investments anymore. And
Yeah.
it's,
I don't care. That's what I'm saying. Like, screw yourself. If you can't do it, then
well, and that the husband, I mean, again, like what, and this is part of the reason men have
she
gotten where they
basically
are.
verbally attacked me in public.
Why didn't he from the start tell his woman
Yeah.
to, hey, you need to check yourself, like you're acting a fool in public. We don't do this in public, And yeah, what we're saying might piss some of y'all off, but I mean, it's
the truth.
It's the truth, man. It's absolutely the truth. Yeah. If you guys like what we're doing, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell. But yeah, man, it's absolutely crazy. Like with this whole lacrosse thing, again, it's like, dude, this lady's a convicted killer. And it's just like, and if I remember right, like she killed her ex-boyfriend not too long after all her fake allegations.
It reads 2013 after she killed him.
Okay, so 7 years later, like, yeah, I mean, all the red flags were there for this lady, and it was all ignored. But I mean, thank God she's in prison now.
There again, it shows how corrupt the court system is,
right?
With the thing, because that prosecutor sat there and he said, "Oh, it's racially motivated," and he's going to go right along with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he was keeping DNA evidence out too.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, dude, that guy, honestly, that prosecutor should be in jail for doing shit like that. Like, I mean, he knew what he was doing, and he's like, well, if these people end up spending years in prison,
sexual predators are tagged.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and people that are willing to operate in that way, like that work within the court systems. Honestly, a lot of times when they do stuff like that, it makes me question what they're doing behind closed doors. I'm like, maybe that person's a sexual predator themselves. I mean, if you're about all this type of stuff, like
yeah, you have all that stuff. I mean, it's like the Department of Justice in Washington D.C. has on their building, where the law ends, tyranny begins. Well, not only where the law ends, but where it's not administered properly,
right,
following the Constitution, that's where tyranny begins.
Facts, dude. And I mean, dude, gosh, the government's out of control right now, and man,
but yeah, I mean, just goes to show you that,
right. Well, and then like, so we have this article, right? This is from Medium, and Medium's pretty woke, okay? But the information in this article, even though they're pretty woke in the way they try to present it, they actually expose themselves and really show you how bad it is, the difference between single moms and single dads, and actually how much more successful single dads are versus single moms. So
I bet you they hated writing that article.
Oh, they hated it, bro. And they try to put in little things here and there to make excuses for it, but then they admit at the same time.
Their bad
yes. It's so crazy. Let's get into this article, man. This is interesting. So it says, in today's day and age, the definition of family is not the same for everyone. It's already woke. You may have brothers, sisters, or both, or maybe your dog counts as a sibling. You may have one parent or two moms, two dads, or one of each, or maybe your grandparents or aunt and uncle adopted you. Whatever your family may look like, we can all agree that there is no one way of defining family. Okay. With that said, I think we can all agree that raising a family, however that may look like, is not easy. Many logistical factors must be considered among the adults raising their kids. Like, how are we going to put food on the table? Who will be working? Who will be watching the kids? How do I ensure the health and happiness of my family? Just thinking about these questions can be daunting. Okay. Let's go. So it says, while of course this is true for households with two parents and guardians, this is especially hard for single parent households. So how many single parent households are there in the U.S. according to Pew Research Center? Almost a quarter of U.S. children under the age of 18 live with one parent and no other adult. So that's 23%. which is about 16,790,000 children. So that's 16 million. And you know, the vast majority of these children, if they're living with one parent, who is that parent that they're living with? You already know this answer. The mom, and so almost all these children are without dads. Now, if the average person in the US lives in a home of 3.4 people, and that means about 4,938,235 US adults are single parents. And again, the majority of those single parents are who? Moms. So, does being a single parent automatically put you at an economic disadvantage? Using data of US countries from the 2022 census data, I created a linear regression model for family households consisting of married couples, single female parents, and single male parents, and where each county ranks on the GINA index according to the World Bank. The GINA index measures the extent to which the distribution of income and consumption among individuals or households within an economy deviates from perfectly equal distribution. A GINA index of 0 represents perfect equality, while an index of 100 implies perfect inequality. Okay. So, based on the linear regression models above, there are clear differences in the correlation between the family household composition and the GINA index. The percentage of married couple families is negatively correlated within the GINA index. Just hang with me, guys. So, correlation equals negative 0.469, and a slope equals negative 0.242. In other words, in counties where there is a greater presence of married couple families, the county tends to be more equally distributed in terms of income. Looking at single parent households tells a different story across U.S. counties. Counties with a greater presence of single mother households tend to exhibit a more unequal income distribution, with a correlation equaling 0.366 and a slope equaling 0.296. However, there appears to be virtually no correlation between single father households and the GINA index, given the correlation of about 0.11. Anyway, so the stark difference in correlations between family household compositions and the GINA index may be explained by several things. For one, the positive correlation between percentage of single mother households may be due to single incomes that can't compete with dual income households, such as that of married couple households, where we see a positive correlation with the GINA index. However, this does not explain the difference between single mother and single father households in terms of the GINA index. Following the logic that single income households can factor into the income distribution within a county should assume that across both single mothers and single fathers, there is some positive correlation between family household composition and the GINA index. Thus, we need to explore other potential factors to further investigate how single mother households differ from single father households. Okay. So then it says, with that said, let's look at the relationship between family household composition and utilization of public assistance, supplemental nutrition assistance, which is SNAP. For context, SNAP, blah, blah, it's a federal program. We all know that. So based on these linear regression above, which is these charts right here, family households comprised of married couples are negatively correlated with use of public assistance SNAP. So that's good. Negatively, meaning most two-parent households aren't on government benefits. This is unsurprising, given that generally with two working parents, there's more income to support a family, so less help may be needed from outside sources like the government. On the other hand, in single parent households, there is a strong positive correlation between family household composition and the use of public assistance, unlike the prior correlation with the GINA index that revealed stark differences between single mother and single father households. Both single parents households had very strong correlation to steep slopes. Single mother households revealed a correlation of about 0.709 and a slope of about 1.305, and single father households revealed a correlation of 0.408 and a slope of about 1.989. This suggests that whether one is a single mom or dad, both family households tend to rely on some sort of public assistance. However, it is also important to note that the correlation for single mother households is nearly double that of single father households. This suggests that there may be an underlying difference between these single parent households, where single mother households are more related to financial hardship. Now, what this article is going to try to do here in a minute is they're going to try to dig for an excuse. Basically, women are being discriminated against. That's why it's different. But then they debunk that themselves. So now let's look at how race may play a role in single parent household compositions. It's no revelation that white people are often at the forefront of privilege. More woke talk. So can race influence the composition of family households, while these linear regressions below by all means do not guarantee causation? It is interesting to compare the different relationships. Across all U.S. counties, those with a greater percentage of householders that are only white tend to counties that also have a greater presence of married coupled families. On the other hand, the percentage of householders race being only white within a county is negatively correlated to the presence of either a single mom or dad household. While both linear regressions for the single parent households reveal a negative correlation, the relationship between only white households and single mom households possess a steeper slope and a correlation twice that of single dad households. Moreover, the slope of single dad households is virtually zero, which indicates that no matter what the percentage of householders' race being only white within a county, the presence of single dad households essentially stays the same. So get across all ethnicities, races, whatever you want to call. The presence essentially stays the same. Again, we are seeing the relationship between single mother households to be stronger than that of single father households. With such a common finding across all linear regressions, it is important to address that it may be due to the fact that, in general, there are more single moms than single dads. Now, here's where this is interesting. Specifically in 2023, there were about 15.9 million children living with a single mother in the United States, and about 3.5 million children living with a single father. So what? That's like quadruple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's all, I mean, I don't need to read bullshit to when I already see it and hear it. You know what I mean? All this is, like stuff like this just doesn't really interest me because it's like intellectual masturbation.
Right.
Yeah. And
but it's still good to like put this information out to the people, because a lot of people are
but I
unaware.
mean, it's sad that we have to do this and they have to, in a sense, like you can read, it's like reading books, you read books to get it.
Right.
But, we shouldn't have to read this to
Right.
to people should read it on their own and just.
But this is a huge number. 15.9 million children living with a single mom versus 3.5 million children living with a single father. I mean, that's a huge gap right there. So basically, long story short, this article just continues to confirm that we are a society of single mothers. And it's crazy. I mean, man,
well, that was by design. So I mean, it's some of the articles in there, whatever, it's good to read that stuff, but it's just, to me, it's like I don't need to read bullshit when I can see it, hear it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so, I know the outcomes. I'm not a professional statistic taker or anything like that, but it's.
I mean, you and I have done our research. We've been doing our research.
23% of single house. That's a wrong number. I mean, where are they getting this from? Like, where did they get this thing from?
Right.
It doesn't say. I didn't notice any precedents there. It didn't say, superscript stuff where it says this is based off of CDC or Bureau of Statistics. It doesn't say it's off of AFPI or who did they get it from.
Right.
None of that stuff. It's just, they're throwing out. It's basically throwing out shit to see if it'll stick on a wall. We all know that it's better for children to be raised by their fathers than it is by their mothers.
Yeah. I mean, and that's simple fact. And I know a lot of women aren't going to want to hear that. but it's just the truth because again, it's like I don't care how much you hate hearing this. Who for the most part is out there building the infrastructure in the world? It's men. Who's the vast majority of people that go and get killed in wars? It's men, and it's just like all these crazy feminists screaming equal rights. You don't see them out working in the oil fields, you don't see them being deep what's it like those scuba dive welder guys, and crazy stuff like that because
Yeah, some of the same thing that they have, but I mean, again, it's you have this group of people where it's like repeal the 19th, and I'm obviously believe some of that stuff, you know what I mean, but the biggest thing that I don't believe that they should be able to do, but you're not going to get around it right now, is that these women are voting, and
right,
they're basically voting to send men to war.
right.
And how do they do that? Well, they do that through the representative and the politician, and the politician's the one that sends us off to war, but and none of these women have to
Mo-
other than their son or their father or their uncle or whatever dying. That's the most they get. They're not going to have learn the hardships of war,
right.
combat, how cold, how stressful it is out there in
Yeah, they're not out there. They're not
they're
they're
not
not
they're
having
not
to
doing
worry
it, and
about that.
they like to sit there and say, oh well, I went on the front line. You know what? You didn't went on. You might have went on a log. You were on a log jam and you guys got hit by an IED,
Right.
and so you just got caught in a crossfire basically. But it's
Well,
not
I don't remember if you, I mean, because you told me this number once. I don't remember if you remember off
not
top of
going
your
they're
head.
running missions. They're not
But
going on patrols.
do you remember what the number was of since the U.S. military has been in existence, how many women have died in service versus men? I know it was just not even
Yeah, I think
comparable.
it's pulled up. I think it was like 17 women have died since World War One as a direct result of enemy fire. In
Okay.
that sense, it's like 17 women, 17 or 26 women, and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, see, you that's a huge difference." Okay, 9 people. Ooh, whoop de doo compared to
Right.
the millions of men that have died for this country. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then that's what really pisses me off. Like in courtrooms, like you have to stand up for the public servant. No, I'm not going to stand up for that public servant. I
No.
put my foot down from here on out. It's like, no way, man. When I walk into the room, then you should probably stand up
Yeah.
for
Well, they should be standing up.
Judge so and so,
Right. They should be going to us like
and they're not upholding and defending the Constitution of the United States because they're going against fundamental and natural parental rights
yeah.
for any of that. And whether it's a man or a woman, you don't go against constitutional rights.
Right.
But that's what they're doing on a daily basis.
I mean,
so they have this stuff.
they're public servants. They should be calling us honor.
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly.
you work for us. We don't work for you.
Yeah. I mean, and they're nothing more than overpaid referees
Right.
to mitigate, us versus them type
And
of thing.
and like what the judges and commissioners, at least here, they make over 100 grand a year, right?
216,000.
216,000 a year. And I would bet on average their work week is probably around 30 hours, I bet. Like,
Yeah, they don't hold. I mean, justice doesn't end between 8 and 5.
I know it doesn't,
You
but
know what I mean?
but
that's the thing that people are doing is like, well, you've been given this, so it's a precedent set. Justice should be ran, Monday through Sunday,
right.
and you should be allowed to go to court and do all these things Monday through Sunday. But because you have this stuff, and they're like, well, judges can't work 7 days a week. Yeah, you're right, but it doesn't mean that you stagger the things.
Right.
Monday through Friday, this person's working. Tuesday through Saturday, this person's working. Wednesday through Sunday, this person's working. So you always have coverage. But people have this lazy ass attitude. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Oh, I gotta go to
Well,
work.
you can't tell me that
they're Fred Flintstone in it.
Right. You can't tell me that they can't figure out a way to rotate all these different judges, like, all right, you're gonna have to work this weekend out of the month, and then it can be done, but it's just it's the whole bureaucracy thing, it's like once you get into government, it's so cushy that it almost breeds just laziness in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it is. It's a welfare system, just like Title 4D is a welfare system, child support's a welfare system, alimony's a welfare system. But what is it for? For that specific gender, that female gender.
Right, right.
I mean, there's a lot of them that sit there and get on that stuff, and then they're like, they get actual master's degrees out of it because they, you know, all they're doing is just dicking the dog
Yeah.
and not.
Well, dude, like I came across this one video the other day, and I have to find it for an episode, but this girl was online telling everyone that they need to back off of her because she was collecting something like $5,000 a month in child support, plus like 1,000 plus a month in food snap benefits.
Probably.
Dude, and she was driving a brand new 2024 Mercedes Benz,
Mhm.
and she was just all online boasting about it and bragging about it. And I'm like, okay, well, you should be under investigation now by the government for abusing the welfare system, and
Well, I mean, come on, think about it. There was like ODB, Old Dirty Bastard, like the Wu-Tang
yeah.
Clan. You know what I mean? He did the
ODB.
hypocrisy of it all, and he was talking about how he on his rap, on his rap song, talking about how he was still on EBT.
I remember that.
And that's awesome. I'm glad he did that. Because he could say how stupid the government is.
Yeah.
For doing that.
Yeah, there was that video.
I mean, they got the money back, but
you're probably talking about. Do you remember that video? You're probably talking about this video of him when he like goes into the food stamps office and he's got like his fur coat on and he gets out of the limo. Did you ever see that? It's old. It's like back in the 90s. Like, yeah.
But I'm saying it's Old Dirty Bastard did that.
Right.
And he was pointing it out.
Yeah.
In a very, artistic way.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, they don't check anything.
We had that song, "Ooh, baby, I like you hard." More like,
yeah.
"Ooh, baby, give me the card." It's like, yeah, man. Rest in peace, ODB. Hey, guys, you like what we're doing? Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell. So, yeah, and then I want to jump into just this real quick because I meant to highlight this yesterday and I got kind of scatterbrained on it. But again, and we kind of just talked about this. The fathers are absent from approximately 80% of single parent households.
Not by choice.
Not by choice. Exactly. And you can't tell me 80% of these single parent households, 80% of the dads don't want to be in the kid's life. It's bull.
It coincides too with the national numbers of 81.7% of mothers get full custody.
Right. Yeah.
Not some form of custody. They get full custody. So you're trying to bullshit me and say that 8 out of 10 men walk away from their children. No
bullshit.
But that's how women will twist it. Like you have the Washington State domestic violence, board, and 13 of those, there's 13 members.
Right.
And 11 of them are women, and the other 2 simps.
Yeah.
Super
simps. Yeah.
They're all over there on the east of the west of the Cascades.
Yeah.
And so they're controlling all this because they have a stranglehold on the politics there. Nobody wants to defend a woman. Oh my God.
Right.
I'm not getting laid. The 4B movement. Like, you know what? Not by you, hose beasts.
Yeah.
Well,
and those dudes, like the 2-3 dudes or whatever that are on there, it's like those guys truly are simps. And I always question guys like that because I've seen this happen time and time.
To get laid.
Yeah, they're trying to get laid. And then a lot of times, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of times those are the dudes that end up turning out to be rapists and and crazy. And it's because they're actually angry at women themselves and they're trying to find any way they can to basically get laid.
Ingratiate themselves to this, like, well, I couldn't possibly. Why are you talking about? I hold this position.
Right.
Like, come on, man.
Now, will you please have sex with me?
Yeah. Ted Bundy was a good looking dude, right?
Right.
That's how he got around and, serial killed and raped these chicks.
Yeah.
Come on.
Ted Bundy, not to be confused with the legendary Al Bundy.
Yeah. Jared from Subway. Holy God.
Dude, I remember when that came out, bro. Like, yeah. South Park got him good on that, too.
Yeah. These are awful people, and then they always glamorize women when they're taking, 14-year-old
right.
husbands.
Well, it's like that Adam Sandler movie. Remember that Adam Sandler movie where, like, as a little kid, he was banging his teacher He's like a little fifth grader banging his teacher, and it goes back to what like they glorified the whole thing, and
Yeah.
like yeah, and I mean, and it actually kind of bugs me because a lot of dudes, and this is an issue amongst dudes. Like I'll bring this up, and the general attitude, honestly, amongst most men I know is like, oh yeah, he's lucky, like that should happen, and it's like, no, these old ladies shouldn't be banging these little boys, like.
Fantasy is not reality.
No, it's not.
But
Like,
that's the way, it always, it's based on for those gender and those people like that. It's always about fantasy and feelings.
right. Yeah.
Why can't it be true?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Keep drinking that fucking Kool-Aid.
Right. So, yeah, man, I mean, there's so much craziness going on out there. And I find that 80% of, single parent households, the father's absent.
And again, this is a recent article, June 24th of 2024 this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And this type of shit just blows my mind. And I mean, I will say the public seems to be catching on. We seem to be in the early stages, but man, we got to get this shit fixed, dude. I mean, we've got to
The
get
three
this
things that
fixed.
can do that again are responsibility, accountability, and punishment.
Yep.
And if you did those three right now, that's a quick, fast, and a hurry remedy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it would stop
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
It would stop quick.
Yeah.
I mean, how many women would stop with the false accusations?
Well, I gotta research it. There's something about child support on there. There's a new stipulation on it, and it's talking about how if states don't do this, then the feds don't pay them.
Yeah.
But see, and again, in turn, if I was
So this is a
reading
new
list
financial incentive.
No,
Okay.
no, not a new financial incentive. If they don't report properly, the feds are not going to pay the state.
Oh,
Not an
okay.
incentive,
Okay.
it's a punishment.
So it's putting a little more pressure on the states.
Yeah. So, but the other thing is too, is like what people don't realize is, now there's this government shutdown looming.
Right.
21% of the total budget goes to Social Security.
Right.
I guarantee you, Title 4D is a huge part of that 21%.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So the states are, reporting these numbers and reporting wrong numbers and reporting all this stuff. There was a gentleman that talked about it. It's like, child support is a good thing for those fathers that don't want to do this and don't want to adhere to their responsibilities. But 8 to 9 out of 10 guys want to take on that responsibility of their fathers.
Yeah.
As fathers.
Yeah.
As husbands.
Yeah.
It's these women that have been allowed by no fault divorces, by the lucrative thing of getting child support. Well, girl, you can go do whatever you want. Other women telling them that shit, and alimony.
Yep.
There's no repercussions for women.
Well, and what happens to all these women? I've been alive long enough. I see it. None of these women that are doing this, using the courts, abusing the courts, none of them are nice. None of them are happy. They're all miserable women.
It's still the same mentality. It's like, oh, well, a woman can't do that.
Yeah.
Because a woman is, helpless.
Right.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
I got all these men that are dead because they're shot and stabbed from these women that do it.
Yeah.
And it's only just this year the stats are out. 51% of that is of domestic violence is women on men.
Oh, it's at 51%
Yeah.
now. I'm gonna have you send me a link to that.
51.4, 51.7%.
Right. But that doesn't surprise me because I mean you and I know
those are
this.
reported numbers.
Right. Like, and most men won't report because most men are terrified because they know when the police show up, unless they just have undeniable hardcore evidence, they're getting arrested.
You're not a man.
Right.
You should have just no, if I try to defend myself, I'm the one going to jail or prison.
Right. Yeah.
It's like I'm not going to sit there and do something like that when it's a double standard.
Bro, like I remember this one day.
But it doesn't mean like the same thing, when they say rule of thumb, like it's just so stupid, like, okay, that was back in the day. So what? You're talking about stuff that happened, 70, 80, 90 years ago,
right?
Beating your wife with a stick and
it's something like no figure.
No, that doesn't happen these days. You know what I mean?
It hasn't happened in a long time legally.
And then then these women are just they use extreme. Their metric system is jacked up.
Right.
So They use these extreme events just like they use on other stuff.
Same shit with
Abortions.
abortion. Exactly.
Yeah, you're like, well, what if, what if it was somebody's daughter and they were raped by their uncle and blah blah. Well, what if a dog had a square ass? Is he gonna shit?
And
for it?
that's, I think that accumulates for like 1% of abortions or something like that. The vast majority of abortions are done out of inconvenience because the woman just does not want to be inconvenienced with the child.
Yeah, my ex's sister, who is a judge and who's now is being investigated by federal agents, she has had 3 to 4 abortions because
No wonder
you know
she's
what, she
crazy.
didn't want to lay down and close her legs or use contraception.
Right.
So you know what, she's gonna go to hell for that.
Yeah.
I hope
Honestly, in a weird way, I mean, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think contraception in some ways is one of the worst things to ever happen because the way they went about it, it started brainwashing women and men into thinking it's a free for all and there's no consequences. And it's like, no, I get it. Sex is pleasurable, but the actual purpose of sex is to create life.
Yeah, I love sex too. You know what I mean? But the thing is that you got to be smart about it.
Right.
And so it's just like some of the things that antidotes,
right,
vaccines for some of this stuff. Then people are like, oh, okay, well, I can get chlamydia or whatever else. Just go get a shot.
It's like, why would you still want to get chlamydia even if you get a shot? Like,
I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna just go do that stuff, or some of these people that think that they don't tell, they catch herpes and they're like, oh well, so 33% of America has it. Yeah, because of you dumb fucks that don't tell her.
That reminds me.
And if they have that, guess what? If you spit on an officer and you had herpes, that's assault.
Yeah,
that's a felony.
And
assault.
they're gonna get you with assault for that.
If a woman does that to a man, and she doesn't tell him, she knows.
Right.
Why is that not assault?
Right.
Why is that not domestic violence?
Right.
Because that's what happened to me and my ex.
Yeah.
She knew she had herpes while we were in our relationship and she gave it to me.
It's crazy, bro. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you've told me this, so I know, but it's just like it's fucked up that people.
But I'm the asshole.
Yeah.
I'm the domestic
So
violence.
she gives you herpes and then takes your kids. And the courts just empower all of it. It's like,
and she can't. And there's the thing about it is my medical history in the military. Not once did I have an STD.
Yeah, yeah.
So she can't sit there and say, "Oh well, you're out here running around banging hookers and strippers," and
It's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. My baby mama.
Yeah, she's the one that gave me her.
She's out here banging hookers and strippers. Like,
whatever.
Yeah, dude. No, it's crazy, man. Man, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to get into?
No, just last before we head out is just all you fathers take care.
Yes,
you know
yes.
what I mean, go to the gym, talk to each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? Please have somebody to call, or even if it's calling, the Veterans Crisis Line or the Suicide Hotline. Or some of these things, get out and do something. You know what I mean? There was one guy in there. He's like, well, what if you don't have money? What if you don't have this? And, I don't know your situation.
Right.
But there's got to be something in there, man. And it's going to take that discipline.
Right.
You know what I mean? I go down at times from all this depression and anxiety and stuff like that. But, there's other guys like you and Eric and, Rich and Henry that stand up.
We all lift each other up.
Yeah, and then I get back up there again and I replenish my energy and then I'm back in it and somebody else goes down. Well, we have to do that as men. We got to take care of each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We got to take care of these women, the Taylor Ray Joneses and the other women that are being harassed and verbally abused by other women because they're speaking out against this crap.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I love women. I love my mom. I love my daughters.
Right.
But you know what? Not in this.
That doesn't excuse bad behavior. Yeah.
Exactly. Because I gave you $500, I could do whatever the hell I want to you. No, sorry, man.
Right. And I mean, you and I, we've helped lift each other up more times than I can count now. Cause I want to say I've known you probably about 2 years now, give or take a few months here or there. And I remember the first day I met you, it was at an event in the park with Spokane Fatherhood Initiative.
Yeah, that first summer when she moved out.
Yeah, and I was doing my usual thing. I was kind of ranting and raving, and then you kind of just randomly came up to me And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And yeah, he told me he liked what I was talking about. And then we kind of just
You have to do that as brothers. You know what I mean? There's things that you won't agree with that I do. 100% of the
right.
time, and vice versa. But that's a a disagreement. So what?
Yeah.
That doesn't end anybody's relationship or friendship just because of that. So
Well, and that was really cool because I mean, again, like you were the first person. I mean, I met some great people out here, but you were the first dad I met that was like really on the same page, who was like, yeah, we got to do something about this
Mhm.
bullshit. Like, we
yeah,
have to
because
clean this
they're,
up.
they're just not. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm trying to tell fathers, address the issue.
Yeah.
Who gives a crap about your reputation?
Right.
Your reputation is something somebody gives you
Yeah.
rather than your character.
Right.
Stand up, speak out about it.
Yeah.
See something, say something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless it's just like totally inappropriate.
Right. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
all the time. I mean, it's just been like endless fathers again. It's like, you were the first one. All these other dads, God bless them all, but the
Yeah.
vast majority of these dads I've dealt with, I start talking like this and they basically almost get scared.
They sit there and they rah you and stuff like that. Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you're gonna talk the talk, walk the walk.
Right.
I do.
Right.
I mean, I've helped other fathers out there serve paperwork.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've lived my stuff. It's kind of like Eminem off of 8 Mile when he talks about all that bad stuff about him. And then I share that with people.
Right.
Like,
Right.
this is what happened to me. This is what is happening to me.
Yep.
And they're
Yep.
like, you're not embarrassed? Like, no, why would I be embarrassed, man?
That's life.
I don't, yeah, that's life. It's not, and I'm trying to combat those injustices and things like that. And so, no, I'm not. Why isn't that other person embarrassed? Why are you me, the victim? Why are you shaming me in that sense? But I don't look at myself. My mentality is not, I'm a victim, I'm a survivor.
Yep. Yep.
I'm suffering these injustices.
That's exactly how I look at myself, because it's like you get into that victim mentality, then you get more depressed, you start feeling sorry for yourself, you start making all these excuses.
Right.
And it's like, no, I may have been screwed over by this, but I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to be victorious.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Make a decision. Don't sit on the horse. It's on the horse and not get in the rodeo.
Yeah.
It's like this. It's the old. I don't know what it is, but um, there's two frogs sitting on a log.
Yeah.
And deciding to see which one goes first.
Right.
Which one goes first?
So one of them's gonna have to go first.
Yeah, but which one goes first?
Whichever one.
The left one or the right one?
Oh, I don't know. I'll go with the right one.
Either one of them, because they haven't decided.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that's the same thing. You got to commit to it. You have to be disciplined. You know what I mean? And there's got to be other. Give that to each man. You see a man struggling, help him out.
Right. Right.
Don't denigrate him.
And it doesn't mean too, like, as a dad, it doesn't mean that every dad has to step up and like be this gun-ho leader or anything like that, but figure out some way to get involved. Yeah,
babysit their children, for them to do something, or just give them a present. Say, hey man, I'm watching you. You're good. Give them a compliment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell them what they're doing is right. If you see something where a woman's doing something to them, correct that. To tell that dude, hey man, you're a boss, you're a king.
Yeah, don't put up with that.
I did that today. I saw this woman acting up on the way here, and I started honking. I was like, leave him alone.
Yeah.
She turns around and flips me off. And that guy's laughing, but that's acceptable in public. And the other way around.
Yeah, I remember like a year ago.
It's like, what did you do?
I was walking down the street, and again, I mean, I've seen this happen multiple times, but this girl's just sitting there following her boyfriend, screaming at him, hitting him, doing all this stuff, and like everyone's just kind of standing there like
what did he do to her, make her do that?
Right, and if it would be vice versa, you'd have all these dudes swarming and all these women swarming. Right,
all kinds of crap.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. The double standard is just bad. But again, I mean, I always say I do believe we are starting to slowly turn this freaking ship, and we're gonna get this all cleaned out.
Love your brother, love your men, take care of each other.
Yeah,
go work out, go get some counseling. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing all these things, and start researching.
Yeah.
Arm yourself with that knowledge.
Right.
Read these articles like you're reading that stuff. Do that, and that way you can debate these these people and show them this stuff when you're going ready for court.
And honestly, too, like when you're going through this, dads, find something that brings you joy and stay focused on it, because it'll really help you deal with the ups and downs of all this family court drama. It doesn't mean it's easy.
Yeah.
You're still going to get your ass kicked. You're still going to have your days where you just like are feeling completely in the gutter, but find something to stay focused on, dads, and pour your energy into it.
Yeah. Do whatever it is, you know, it's
And reach out to us.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. Reach out to us. Our email is fathersgospelpodcast@gmail.com. You know what? You can even call or text me at 541-731-3793. Now, I'm not going to give out Homeboy's number, but I'm telling you all my number. Feel free to reach out to us, you guys. We're trying to build a support network here, and we're working on building a big coalition, and we want to work with you guys because not only do we care about our children and our family, but we care about families as a whole, and we don't want to pass this same shitty system on to our own children. We don't want our little boys dealing with this. Like
our little boys and girls dealing with this stuff.
No, you know.
They're easily too susceptible.
Yeah.
Vulnerable.
Right. Yeah. So
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you folks that you know, that are having a rough time.
Yeah.
And hang in there, man.
Yeah.
Keep in the fight, stay in the fight.
Yeah, we're praying for all the single dads out there, you know, dealing with all this. Obviously, we don't know every single dad, but in general, we're praying for all of you, our nation, and we're just going to keep putting this information out there, and we hope to keep building with more and more of you, because honestly, we can change the system, and we will change the system if we choose to do so.
Stand together.
Yep. All right, guys. I think that's it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, make sure you give us a like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell. Tell me and my brother how much you absolutely love us and how great we are, or you can tell us you hate us. We love it all. Anyways, until next episode, thank you for tuning into the Father's Gospel Podcast. I love you. Kyle, do you love them? And God loves you. We're out. Peace.